there, welcome to the channel, or welcome back. My name is Angela, and today I'm starting my first seeds for this year. If you want to hang out with me while I do this, let's do it. I'll kind of share with you guys my process as I go. This is not like the only or the definitive way to do things. I feel like there's probably as many ways to do something as there are gardeners. This is how I've done seed starting over the years. I just use a commercial seed starting potting mix. This one's Miracle Grow. I've also in the past used the Jiffy brand, I think it is. I get this at Home Depot, Lowe's, any place like that. And the other supply, I'll kind of share with you all the supplies that I've got going on here. I've got a big mixing bowl because I have found it works best to get your potting mix or your seed starting mix saturated thoroughly before putting it into the seed trays. I've got my mixing spoon here. It's just a wooden kitchen spoon. It works. Kind of seems like I'm mixing up cake batter when I do this, but it works. And I've got my first seeds that I'm going to start with today. These are onion seeds. I'll share with you a little more about these here in just a minute. But first I'm going to go ahead and open this up. Just cut the corner off there so I can pour it in easily. Sometimes it's a guessing game on how much to mix up at one time. If I know ahead of time that I've got a lot of seeds that I'm starting in that session, then I'll just fill this bowl up, get it saturated, and then I'll usually, gotta cut this open a little bit more, I'll usually end up mixing up a second batch. That might be the case today. We will have to see. I'm doing onions to start with, and I'll share with you the other things I'm seeding today as I go. I love working with this seed starting mix. It's so like light and fluffy and rich. Right. For safety reasons, I'm going to put this off to the side where I can prop it up. I do not want this spilling out everywhere. That wouldn't be a good start to this process. I'll bring this in a little bit closer so you can see it. It's a rich, dark mix. When you touch it or kind of get your hands in there, it's real fluffy, light. I love it. Love working with it. And I don't have any certain ratio of how much water I add. I just kind of eyeball it, and just enough to get it mixed in so that it's pretty moist. And if I find that I've added too much water, I can always add a little bit more of the mix in again, just to get it so that it's not, too soggy. I've got a new microphone I'm trying out here, so we'll see how that goes. I hope the sound quality is good for you guys. But I find that it's kind of heavy, like pinned onto my shirt here, clipped on. It feels like it's kind of like weighing my shirt down a little bit, so we'll see how that goes. If I find that the sound quality is good, I'll link this microphone in the description box in case you guys are also interested. It's wireless, and there's a piece that I'm just recording with my phone camera, and there's like a receiver that plugs into the phone, and then this part you wear on you. I'm going to bring this back in so you guys can see how it looks now. I'm probably preaching to the choir here. I'm sure you guys know this already. Did you hear that? I think I might have put a little much water in there, but I'm going to leave it be for now. It's not like swimming in water. It's okay. It's good enough to work with for now. I'm pretty sure I'll be filling this bowl up again during this particular seed starting session. And I'm going to go ahead and start filling my trays. If you missed my last video, I'll link that above or in the description below. I kind of went over the equipment that I use to start seeds with, but just real quick now, I've got the 1020 tray, and then this is made to fit right in there. This is rigid plastic. This thing is durable. It's not going to come apart probably. Like for the rest of my gardening days, this will probably be intact. It's really sturdy. The bad thing, so I love that, and I can do a lot in here. I think there's 72 little cells in here, so it's perfect for some things. The downside is that if I wanted to do different types of seeds, like say onions and then tomatoes and peppers, it kind of has some drawbacks there because sometimes those progress along at different rates than each other, or they need different conditions. So if you just have like a little 6-cell pack, you can easily move those around to wherever those particular vegetables would do best. With this, I find that it's best to just sow the same thing in the whole tray. That way, because they're not going to come apart from each other. I hope all that made sense. So while I'm doing all onions in here, there are going to be different types of onions, varieties, but it'll be just onions in here. That way I know that they're going to grow at roughly the same rate, need the same conditions as far as temperature, lighting, and so forth. So now it's kind of the fun part. I really like doing this. I just take my spoon and kind of plop the wet mixture on there and fill up the cells. I usually use a different spoon for this. I'm finding this one's not as good, and I may swap it out. So because where that's going to show up best, because the head of the spoon is more rounded at the top, I can't really get down in these tiny little cells. So I'm going to see if I can grab another spoon. Found this one, which is more, let's show you up, it's more elongated, and yeah, that's much better. I can really like push this mixture down in the cells. So I'm probably going to be doing this for a little while. It takes a little while to, you know, fill all these up. Try to chat with you guys as I go. I'd love to know, oh, I've got a piece of bark or something there. I'm going to just toss that into the trash. Sometimes you find that in this seed mix, although it's rare to find like a piece of debris that's that large, but that thing would have impeded and it would have taken up a good chunk of the cell. So I'd love to know what you guys are starting on. Have you started seeds already? And what area are you in? When do you normally start things? We are roughly, let's see, today is February 16th, and our average last frost date is anywhere from, it's April 15th to the 25th. So I kind of split it roughly in the middle, and I go with April 19th. So you guys know how that goes. It can vary, but we're approximately 9 weeks out from that date if I'm doing my math right. And I normally would have started my onions before now, and I've just been kind of dragging my heels. I think because we've had a lot heavier wintry weather this winter than in some winters past. I kind of, and not as much sunlight. It's been gray, cloudy, snowy, which is beautiful in its own way. But it kind of like saps my energy. I'm a sun girl for sure. And when it's cloudy out, it just totally drains all my energy. Are you guys like that too? A lot of people I work with prefer the colder weather, and not me. I feel like I would take a 90-degree day over a 60-degree day, like every time. This might take me a little bit. I don't know if I can chat with you guys long enough to do this or not. I might bore you to tears. Maybe I can keep you company while you're working on stuff in your garden or doing your housework, driving, working. And I'm almost to the bottom, so it's pretty much going to take me 2 bowlfuls of this to fill up this tray, I think. I feel like as such as it's been with pretty much everything else that we buy these days, the cost of this seed mix went up. And without looking back at my notes, I couldn't say for sure how much, but it did seem to be like a little pricier for a smaller bag. Okay, I'm gonna grab my bag here. Top it off with some water. And I really have to get it all mashed up. It seems like it takes a little bit for the water to kind of really adhere to get that moisture that I'm looking for. And I am doing a smaller veggie garden this year than I normally do. There's a bunch of reasons for that, which I've talked about, like probably ad nauseum on this channel for the last few videos. But the one thing I'm probably going to still do as much as I normally do are onions. And that's because I have a lot of onion seeds still. And in my experience, they just don't retain their viability as long as the other veggie seeds do. Like I've sown tomato seeds that were 5, 6, maybe even 7 years old, but I kept them in a good conditions, in a cool, dry, dark conditions, so they last a long time. I found that with onions, that hasn't really been the case for me. So I have 2 seed packets here that the seeds were packed for 2023. So I want to go ahead and just finish those off this year, get those all planted out. And if I still have any room left and I still want more onions sown, I'll start working on my seed packets that were from last year. I've made the conscious decision to not buy any seeds this year, with the exception of if I'm going to be for perennials or annuals, maybe flowers. We'll see how that goes. Anything that I can use in landscaping, because that's going to be a heavy focus for me this year, especially with native plants. I'll take you guys along with me as I go on that journey. I think that's going to be really fun. I'm looking forward to that. I've kind of dabbled in a little bit of landscaping since we've been at this property. We moved here in 2012, but not as much as I would have liked. And there's a part of me that's feeling a little bit of urgency as far as timing, because some of these things take years to grow up, like shrubs and trees, and like I should have started on those like 10 years ago, but priorities. So starting on it now, and I think it'll be okay. I usually end up making a totally big mess when I do this process. Making a mess is nothing new for us gardeners, is it? So when I have pretty much gotten the mix into each of the cells, what I do, almost there, is just go cell by cell with my spoon and kind of, pack it down, because it might look like I have the cell filled up, but once I start tamping it down, it's not filled up at all. So then I can go back over it and top it off. I think this part of seed starting is so much fun. So yeah, I'm finding some cells where it's a little falling short, and I'll just go back and top those off. And I'm not sure how much a difference it makes if they're completely full. I do like them to be pretty full, just because this is where my seedlings are going to live for the next however many weeks. So I want them to have a really good base that they can take root in. And the way that I've been sowing my onion seeds the last couple of years, like just sowing them pretty thick and heavy, I'm almost starting to wonder if I shouldn't use the cell trays at all and just use the under tray, like one big open area, and just scatter the seeds all over. Like fill it with the potting soil mix or the seed starting mix, and then just kind of go crazy seeding the whole surface area. I'm kind of tempted to try that. I was just going to do 2 trays of onions, and I think I might try that with this next tray. We'll see. I think I'm almost done here. Okay, I'm going to stop with that. So the onions that I'm sowing this year these are both from M.I. Gardner, great place to get seeds. I've got ruby red onion and Utah yellow sweet Spanish. So I'm going to go ahead and try to just do one in this tray and the second variety in the other tray. Start indoors 8 to 10 weeks, so I'm perfectly timed. I'm about 9 weeks out before my last frost, and it says 4 to 10 days for germination. So let's see what we've got here. I'm going to I always label the seeds. These are the best markers. I'll link to these below. I get these on Amazon. I love them so much. They're sturdy and nice and long. I'm just going to stick one of them because I'm going to do the whole tray the same. And well, I don't know if I have enough seeds to fill this whole tray, so maybe I'll just do half of the tray. Let me take a look. Yeah, I don't think I have enough seeds for the whole tray. So I'll just do what I can here. trying to do anywhere from 1 to 3 seeds per cell. Though these seeds are dark, so it's hard to tell how many are going into each cell. Just got 3 seeds left. I'm gonna randomly sprinkle them. So I got 4 rows of the yellow, Utah yellow sweet Spanish. That's a long name. So I'm just gonna go ahead and fill the rest of the tray up with my ruby red. Okay. And oh yeah, I've got a lot more of these. I probably have enough to do the rest of this tray with these. Once I get the seeds plopped down on the surface, I'll go back over and kind of rake them in and pat it down. So I'm sewing these pretty thickly, and I think that'll be okay. Alright, so I've got even more kind of thinking that I will have to put some of these ruby reds into the next tray. But for now, what I'm going to do is just get out a small fork, kind of rake them in. I do take a little more care when I'm working with bigger seeds, like tomato seeds or something like that. With onions, I've found that it really is not as important to do that. Just pressing lightly to make sure they're secure in there. They can take root. And I'll just do the same thing with these. And what this fork action is doing is kind of getting them down in there a little bit so they're not sitting right on the surface. And like I mentioned at the start, this is just the way I do it. There are so many ways to do just about anything in gardening and everything else pretty much. This works for me. And I'm finding that some of these cells didn't have as much of the potting mix as I thought. They're pretty like deep in there now that I'm kind of pushing it down. It's fine. I've overseeded. I've got a lot of seeds here, so I'm going to get a lot of onions. It doesn't matter. All right, now I'm going to take this tray back to my little greenhouse, which is over in my laundry room. And once again, if you missed that, it was in my last video, so check that out. But I just want to kind of make space here, so I'm going to go ahead and get this one moved over. Okay, let me grab my next tray and take a look at what I have left as far as onions. Kind of a bunch of onion seeds here. I would like to do just some good standard white onions. That was yellow and red, and here's a sweet white Spanish, Texas Grano. I've got 2 more red onion varieties, a sweet white Spanish, and a Texas Grano. Mild flavored white onion. This is a short day variety. I do sow long day varieties here. Just about midway, and if you split the United States right in half, we're probably right there at the halfway mark pretty much. I'm going to see how many I have of these. If I have enough to do a whole tray, I'm going to take this out and just do them straight there into the big tray. I think I do. I've got a lot of these. So I'm going to try that. This will be a new little experiment for me. And I'm going to have to fill this up. I'll see how far this gets me. Same amount as it got me in the last tray, probably. Yeah, I'm gonna need another bowl full. All right, no problem. I did pick up 4 of these bags when I was out shopping the other day, and that'll get me quite a ways, especially since I'm doing a smaller garden this year. think this is the first time I've ever tried this. Just going straight into the big tray. At least I'm not recalling ever having done it this way. Been gardening a lot of years though. It's possible. It's possible I did this. Just don't remember. I feel like it needs just a little bit more. It's pretty shallow in there. So open up another bag. And I will go ahead and mix up a full bowl again because I'm doing more than just onions today. So I'll use it, that's for sure. Last year we put this new topper on our island and it's a lot bigger than the old one was. And I'm really so happy that we did that. I feel like I have so much more working space now. The cabinet, the base cabinet is the same cabinet. We didn't put a new cabinet in, we just put a new topper on. And just adding 3 or 4 inches onto 2 sides gave us a lot more surface area. It's amazing. It's made all the difference. Our kitchen's not real big, so having more area to work is never a bad thing. All right. I feel like that's probably good. That's going to be deep enough. But yeah, it should be fine. So I still got plenty left to work with. And grab my seeds. And this is going to be interesting. Just going to sprinkle them in. This brand, by the way, is Fairy Morse. I think last year was the first year I'd ever bought any of their seeds. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just finish off this packet. So this might be very heavily seeded, but that's okay. Okay. And where's my fork? Gonna lightly rake it. Be interesting to see how the concentration of sprouts works out. I tried to sprinkle them pretty evenly, but I'm not sure what to expect doing it this way. I think that that's one of the funnest things about gardening, though, is that it's like one giant experiment. At least it feels that way. All right. Now I'm just going to take my spoon, lightly tap it down. Put a label in. I'm going to run this tray into the back where I have my little greenhouse set up, and then I'm going to start on the next tray. And what I have next, I'm doing rosemary, celery, and I'm kind of debating on leeks. I think I grew a few last year, but I didn't end up really doing much with them, so maybe I'm going to hold off on that. So that just leaves me with my rosemary and celery. I only need one rosemary plant, and maybe I'll do 6 celery, fill 6 cells with celery. So let's work on that next. These are nice. They're bigger, they're deeper, and then they're wider, you know, the opening part, than the standard cell packs. I've used these for a couple of years now. I love them just because some things I can just seed in here and then keep them growing in here until it's time to plant them out. I never have to up pot them because there's so much extra space for them to grow. Last year was the first year that I successfully grew celery, so that was fun. We used it in a number of different things that we cooked. I don't really care for celery just to like eat it straight. Even dipping it in dip or peanut butter or something, it's not a flavor that I care for in large amounts, but I love adding it to soups and stews. So it was nice to have it there for when we were, you know, doing soups last year. And it looks like I'm going to need just a little bit more. You know what? I think what I'm going to do is to do 5 of these cells with celery, and then the rosemary can go in the 6th one. That way I won't have to mix up more potting mix. So I have just enough left to fill up these little 6 cells here. So that worked out pretty good. Yeah. It's going to be a little skimpy. I think it'll be okay though. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I was pretty pleased with these Fairy Moore seeds. I'd buy them again. These rosemary seeds are tiny, and this is probably just like a surface sow. It says 1/4 inch, so I'll rake them in. I'm going to do maybe 4 or 5 seeds in there. That way I'll get 1 or 2 plants. All right. And let's see. Oh, and by the way, this rosemary, there's no special variety. It just says rosemary. The celery is from Baker Creek, and it's called Giant Red. It did really well for me last year. And celery seeds are pretty tiny too. This is surface sow. So what I'm going to do is just lightly sprinkle them to these other cells. Alright, got a bunch of seeds left here. And label in. And gently press them in. So that's all I'm doing for today, but I've got the rest of this tray, these other 5 little 6-cell packs ready for next weekend when I will do peppers amongst other things. I'm going to run this one into the back, and then I'll take you back there and show you what it looks like. Okay. So this is what I've got so far. I was thinking maybe in years past I was able to fit 3 trays in there. I don't think that's possible, but 2 is pretty good. So I've got heat mats under all 3 of these trays. I'm going to get those plugged in, and as soon as these germinate, they'll go under grow lights. And because these particular things like it a little bit cooler, they can go in the basement. I have grow lights set up down there. For the peppers and tomatoes and everything that likes it a little bit warmer, I'll set up another grow light set up right here. So easy to tend to, and I can check on them frequently. And that's all I've got for you today. I know it wasn't the most exciting content, but maybe I was able to keep you company while you were sowing your own seeds or working or what have you. Be sure and tune back in next time. I'll show you what else I'm growing. I might not take you through the whole seed starting process because I know it's, it can get a little tedious, but I'll at least share with you what other seeds I'm starting next weekend. Until then, take care.